Hello and welcome to another video. So this is a Puppet Omen deck that was pulled from the Mana Surge tier list. It's definitely a fairly capable deck, and as expected, it's one that I've pretty much covered in the past with very few differences. I mean, this has a staircase in it, and that's pretty much it out of everything. It's just mainly card numbers that have been adjusted to fit for a better playstyle, which is very appreciative. I like it when people refine decks down just by numbers, as decks are usually reasonably solid, but sorting out what's good for what meta based on the number of cards is usually the hard part. So definitely a solid deck, does a wonderful job at controlling the game and protecting yourself fairly well. And of course, it's just a lot of fun to play. At least in my opinion, I enjoy playing a lot of Portal decks, whether it's Artifact, Puppet, pretty much anything, I'll enjoy playing it. But otherwise, we're going to get right in this, check it out. The couple of games I've got for you is a 1 win and 1 loss, so it's definitely a little bit of a mixed bag today, but the loss was pretty fun, so we're going to get right into the video and check it out. So this video should definitely be a longer one. We've had a few short videos, or a fair few short videos in the last week or so, as typically 2 wins and just 2 games in general are enough to show off most of the decks lately in the current meta. And usually I haven't had a lot of really solid decks that would be a lot of fun to show off more than that anyway. So overall, it's great when we have some of these longer videos. Starting off with Inspired Inventor is always a good start. Definitely something I try and aim for on turn 1. She's a very solid card. We don't have much else other than Hamlin now, so duplicating Flower Doll looks to be the option. Getting puppets is always handy in this deck. Whether you're using them for the Omen synergy or for the Orcus synergy, you're going to do fairly well. So it looks like face damage is going to be the place damage today. Just kind of setting up our board. Unfortunately, Black and Scripture is not a lot of fun. At least we had plenty of Flower Dolls. So losing 1 doesn't make a big difference. We've got Heartless Battle for turn 5, which is always a promising one. Unfortunately, they got a lot of Banish in this Haven deck. Definitely something you don't see a lot. I typically don't see Baldy anymore. He's just not that common in Haven decks, so definitely a nice change of pace to see him played again. He's always a fun card, mainly because he trades 2 for 1 basically against everything, but always a lot of fun. So I went in for the puppets, just to kill this off. Try and keep my Victoria alive for a little bit of extra value, or just to draw out another card in general. See, drawing out Unicorn Spear, perfectly fine on a 3-1, I'll take it. Luckily for us, there is Omen of Destruction. Sometimes you don't get Omen of Destruction, which you'll see in my next match, which is where you lean more towards puppets. Although I'm not an expert with this deck by any means, so it definitely can still make mistakes like any other player. Which typically, holding Evos long enough is usually where I run into issues. Whether I want to hold them or not hold them. So Goblin Mount Ogre, not a big issue for us to deal with. Should be fairly easy to deal with that. Although going for Destruction in white would be a fairly decent play as well. But I think holding off just 1 turn is fine. So we'll clear this out effectively. We've got Destruction in white, we've got a puppet. Our opponent doesn't have much to their name right now. And we're not too worried about them healing. That's the one advantage in this matchup. Haven can heal pretty much all they want, and it doesn't make a huge difference in the early game or mid game even. Usually it's late game where you got to worry about it. So Destruction into puppet gives us a decent chance to go for Destruction in black next turn, even if it ends up being a riskier play. The only real problem becomes banishing my amulets, which Sword does really well, so it's always a little sad when I come up in the Sword matchups, as you're going to see next, but it's not a traditional Sword, so just keep that one in mind. Omen of 1, so it's a Highlander deck. Or almost Highlander, you could say. So it looks like we're pretty free just to play Destruction in black now. There's not much that could kill us instantly. Actually, I don't think there's anything that could kill us instantly next turn. So we're going to be pretty safe. Not a traditional Haven deck either. I mean, pretty normal for a Highlander one. But I haven't fought a lot of Highlander decks. And for anyone who's wondering what Highlander is, it's basically just we run a 1 of every card in the deck, obviously in this case excluding Omen of 1. So I decided to duplicate Destruction in black, didn't really have any other reason not to at this point. Just in case for some reason they got rid of my black and I needed another one. But this is more than enough to clean this up and win us the game. So this next game was reasonably tough. Swordcraft, definitely not the funnest match for this deck in general. Typically it's not the worst matchup, it's just a tricky one where you need to have pretty decent draws, and sometimes missing those can really hurt. But it was a reasonably close match. That's what was important in this matchup, even though it was a loss for me. Having an extremely close match can be a lot of fun, and in this case it was. Definitely felt like it got drawn out, but it was a lot of fun to play. So duplicating our Loco first is always a good way to kick off our matches. You can never have too many little puppets. And we've got a double Puppet Girl, double Orcus. Ugh, definitely rough starting hand. Would be nice if we could get our Omen. That would really be what we wanted for this match. Fortunately, it doesn't always go that way. Sometimes you just gotta make do and choose your direction early on, and in this case, I've pretty much got to go with the puppets at this point. So I did play my puppet out. I probably didn't need to, but I wanted to clear up at least some space in my hand. Even if it was going to cost me the draw. But we're set up pretty nicely. Another Hamlin, couple of puppets, clean up the board nice. Play another Loco since we pretty much can at this point. We don't really have a reason to hold on to those yet. Mainly just want to get some pressure down. And I really just want to make sure I had some extra space available in case I did draw into my Omen. Or in this case, draw a card, Disciple of Destruction. A great draw card. Gotta love Disciple of Destruction. Zeta Crimson Lancer. Not something I can easily face down yet. But definitely not an impossible match. So I made a small misplay here. My original intention was to go for Heartless Battle. Completely miscounted that was actually going to put me a little under what I needed. Which means I end up wasting an Evo for that. Which could have been the difference between winning and losing this matchup, honestly. So, Dark Saber. Not really an issue this time. We're not really going to mess this up. So I start off with the Heartless Battle, this time because I want a small buff. Having a 3-4 with Bane, definitely an advantage. And we're still generating plenty of puppets. As I mentioned, this is a fairly long game. It's mostly just trading the board. We don't really get much chance to really go face each. So Heartless Battle is going to do fairly well. We can pretty much waste these puppets as we see fit at this point. As we're going to create a lot more puppets. We're still holding on to the Loco for even more puppet generation. And there is the Apostle. We got a fairly lucky hit there. Definitely didn't want that to hit Victoria. Victoria is a pretty nice beat stick at this point, and probably all we've got going for us. Not so lucky though. Next turn, I don't really have a choice but to Evo. I mean, I could definitely come up with another way to go about it, but I feel like I'd be wasting a good opportunity if I didn't remove this 4-5 and build up a massive storm board. So now we can finally start making a small push. Going for our puppets. Trying to stick to the board as much as we can. Forcing them to have to pick between what they want to remove. Omen of Usurpation isn't going to be very helpful as we don't have anything with Last Word on board. So they're mainly just using it as a destroy card. And obviously looking for them loot cards. So this is the issue. Magical Marksman hurts my feelings quite a bit. At least they didn't remove the duo, so we did end up with the tree. Or try. I'm not sure how I should pronounce that. Either way, did a wonderful job. Even got more puppet generation for Puppet Girl. And put us very close to lethal. Frontline Cavalier though, kind of ruining our day. Especially with Assassination Jitsu, a little disappointed. Suppose with Destructive Reflame we could have actually done a lot more. Or had a lot more fun, I guess. Got a little bit of more damage, but we're going to remove this fairly easily. Even go for the setup with the Victoria again. Even though I probably should have went for the Lloyd there. Still not too bad. Dragon Knights though, definitely hard to get round. This is why the match pretty much got drawn out. Dragon Knights were a hard one for me to counter. Not impossible, as we do have Loco, which is perfect, but just tricky. So I decided just to go face, mainly so I could free up some space, because if they wipe this board and don't set up another ward, which unfortunately they do set up another ward, we would have actually had a good chance. So I go for another Vengeful Puppet. Going for as much as I can here. Getting the sword player down to 3 next turn is going to be really good. Even though I probably should have just killed off the 6-2, but they had an Evo anyway, so they probably could have removed things pretty easily. Kronos, not too bad for us, not too bad for them. This is where things got more interesting, as I thought they were playing a pretty standard sword deck up until now. This is where I started getting an inkling that maybe their kind of win condition is actually drawing out. So I try and put as much as I can into this board. Go face where I can. We're only 2 damage off. Unfortunately, without the Evo, our Omen can't come to any kind of advantage for us. At least Entity should buy us some time. But again, healing is going to be rough. Because now we're just kind of lacking a win condition. We've definitely put as much damage into them as we could. Going for more Inspired Inventor. But this time going for damage. That was going to be kind of my aim here. They're going to heal, but we're going to deal damage. Was kind of the option I had available to me. Azure Maiden. Definitely something they can take advantage of. Usurping Spineblade. And a pretty decent way to deal with this board. They're definitely buying some time here. There's our Puppet Girl at least, so we're going to be fairly close to lethal. Try and go for as much as I can. Probably overstacking this board though. But I had to take the chance. Unfortunately, I didn't have Flower Girl. I kind of wish I had played out Flower Girl. That would have actually been the difference between winning and losing this matchup. It's unfortunate that I hadn't realized that sooner. As at this point, their Kronos draw will be very close to winning them the game. So they're definitely down to their final card. As soon as they draw next turn, they win. Unfortunately, I have no way to actually kill off my Flower Girl and get another puppet. So being 1 puppet short from lethal was super disappointing, but was extremely close. If I had made a couple of different decisions early on, there would have been a very, very different match. But definitely worth showing you guys, as it was pretty great for this deck. This is exactly what this deck is designed to do in favor of dragging out matches. It was just unfortunate that so was our opponent. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I definitely enjoyed playing this deck. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend giving it a go if you have the cards for it. If not, maybe hold off till after the mini expansion to give this a go. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check the deck list in the description below. Until next time, see ya.